Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a very interesting show set up for you. All right, we're going to talk about something that's kind of controversial. What about teams getting kicked out of the SEC and Big Ten? It's certainly possible, and we're going to talk about who would be on the chopping block in the event that happens because, look, given the financial circumstances of where everything is these days, it's not impossible at all. And this was a story by Saturday Blitz. Talks about 5 teams that could be evicted from the SEC and Big Ten in the future. And it really is all about the money. What it boils down to is this. This is what each team gets as far as TV rights, college football playoff, and all of that. Big Ten actually gets the most right now because they got a little bit better TV rights deal, and that's actually going to improve over the years. So the SEC is going to be playing catch-up against Big Ten. And, of course, with the NCAA settlement, every college or every athletic department needs money. And reason being, you've got to come up with $20.5 million in revenue sharing. There's no additional revenue to cover that. All right, that just comes straight out of your budget. Then you've got to come up with like $2 million in back damages to athletes that didn't get any money back in the day. And you've got to come up with more scholarships because the way they've got this settlement set up, you can add up to 20 scholarships for football. You can add a bunch of scholarships for baseball, all of that. You don't have to, but you can. And to compete, you can't have one team with 105 scholarship players and another team with 85. You can't compete that way. That's just way too much talent. That's gives you way more depth. So there's a lot of pressure for the TV rights to increase to each conference and get more money. And if you've got teams that don't draw viewership that are holding down your conference, it may be a situation where the conferences say, okay, we're going to have to jettison the dead weight. And I'm sorry to put it that way because I know there's some teams that, fan bases care about. But there are some teams in the SEC and Big Ten that just don't carry enough water. You got to pick up your end of the couch. That's what it boils down to. And the first one pertaining to the SEC is Vanderbilt. It says, despite being a founding member of the SEC, and believe me, you'll hear that a lot whenever the Vanderbilt folks chime in. They say, look, we're a founding member. How can you do this? I'm not necessarily in favor of getting rid of Vanderbilt. They're a brother of mine, so to speak. I live in Tennessee. We've been playing Vanderbilt forever. I played golf against those guys. I don't know that I want Vanderbilt's a great school. It's just they don't care about sports that much. They care way more about academics. What they really are, they're an Ivy League school in the SEC. I mean, look, that's just a fact. And they don't draw a lot of viewers to their games. Although I will say this, Diego Pavia has really put them on the map this year or last year. He was fun to watch. How in the world? They beat Alabama and Auburn last year.
Alabama!
They're the Alabama state champs. If somebody had told me that before the season started, I'd have said, you're lost your mind. There is no way. I mean, they beat Kentucky. I could have seen that happening, but not to be the Alabama state champs. But they pulled it off.
It's not true. That's impossible.
Search your feelings. You know it to be true.
No!
It says it struggled to draw significant fan interest. Their games often record lower attendance and TV ratings. And that's what it boils down to, because when you're negotiating with the cable companies or the ESPN or the Fox Sports, they're going to say, yeah, but you've got these, sorry to use this term, but you've got these dogs that don't get viewership. And Vanderbilt happens to be one of those. So they would definitely be, on the top of the list. Sorry, Vandy. The next one, Rutgers Scarlet Knights. They had brought them in because they thought that would help them with the New York, New Jersey media market. But that just has not happened. And it says, frankly, that market simply doesn't care about college football in relation to its NFL support, which they've got NFL teams up there, which does make sense. So while they thought they were picking up the New York, New Jersey market, they really didn't because those fans were like, we've got plenty to watch up here. We don't really care about Rutgers enough to watch a lot of their games. So they would obviously be one team or one school that Big Ten might, have to push out at some point. We'll see. The third team, and this would be rough, is Mississippi State Bulldogs. They've got a good fan base, but it's not huge. And one of the biggest problems is they share it with Ole Miss. Now, Ole Miss has really improved under Lane Kiffin, and it's helped them a ton. You know, they've got a very small stadium. It's like 50,000 seats compared to 80, 90, 100 at the other teams. But Ole Miss, you know, they made the right choice bringing in Lane Kiffin because it's taken them off that list completely. But Mississippi State is struggling. They went, 2-10 last year, and they would definitely be one that would be, you know, if you were getting rid of two, they'd probably be the second choice. Sorry, Mississippi State.
I'll turn this damn bus around. That'll end your precious little field trip pretty damn quick, huh?
Number 4, Northwestern Wildcats. It's a great academic school. Its football program is, you know, it's had good moments, but it doesn't consistently attract high viewership numbers. And Big Ten, look, they want money. You know, they've got a good deal with Fox Sports, and when they renegotiate in 2031, they're going to want a whole lot more money. You can just count on it. And Fox may say, yeah, well, you know what? Why don't you bring in some more big-time schools like they did with Oregon and USC and Washington and dump these schools that aren't getting the viewership that we need? You know, there's going to be possibly a Clemson. There could be a Florida State. There are other schools out there that could be a possibility that they could pick up. So anyway, that's just, God, Notre Dame. You think Big Ten wants Notre Dame any at all? Good grief. They'd move a mountain to get them. And then the Purdue Boilermakers. Boy, I'll tell you, there was a time Purdue had a decent football program, but last year was awful. I think they won one ball game. One. And they took us out of the dadgum NCAA tournament in basketball because they had that giant monster, that 7-foot, 500-pound Edie.
Nobody wants to play with me.
And we had Dalton Connect. Man, I thought for sure we'd get to the Final Four if we didn't have to deal with that Edie. We just couldn't do anything with him. But anyway, that's beside the point. It says they failed to draw significant national attention, would be a concern for the Big Ten as it strategizes next era. So those are your 5 that people are looking at that could be a problem for the Big Ten and the SEC because it's all about the money these days. You see how it's moving and going to 105 scholarships for football, all that money. I mean, it's almost $30 million. $20.5 million for revenue sharing, $2 to $3 million for the back penalties, and then you've got to come up with another $5 million for scholarships. That's $30 million bucks. That's going to have to come from TV rights and things like that, or college football playoff, more games. We're going to see more games, and what may happen is if SEC goes to 9 games and they get $5 million more to do that by playing a 9th SEC game, then they would end up playing the Big Ten in some sort of a square-off, which would also be more TV rights money because that would be big business. And you may see them improve the quality of each conference to try to get even more money. That's the way you would probably drive the revenue, to be able to handle the revenue sharing and plus all these extra scholarships and this 10 years of paying back penalties. And we've seen a ton of realignment, as you know, with the addition of Texas and Oklahoma to the SEC and the addition of USC, Oregon, Washington to the Big Ten. And again, you know they want Notre Dame so bad. Anyway, this is just something, you know, to keep your eye on, that it could happen at some point. I don't know that it would happen over the next year or two, but those are the 5 teams that are probably in the most jeopardy of getting thrown out of a conference, which God, that just seems weird. But after you saw what happened to the Pac-12, it probably shouldn't shock you, because I can tell you it's getting real. It's not like it was back when it was all amateurism. Now the money matters. Anyway, if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Let's me know. Continue to cover all these big college sports stories. If you've not subscribed, hit this little button right here. It'll help you get these videos. It won't cost you a dime. And right over here is the most recent video YouTube thinks you'll enjoy based on your viewing history. We'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.
Where are we at in society today? Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!